Hello everyone, hope you guys had a spectacular day. In today's video, we're going to take a look at what the heck happened today in the market, what the next steps are. We're going to take a look at the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, maybe even the crypto markets, the bonds, the dollar, and the VIX. Without further ado, let's get started. So number one, tomorrow morning, we have GDP numbers coming out at 8:30, and then at 10 a.m., we have more important news, home sale numbers. So while we're trading, we have to keep in mind that 10 a.m. is going to be a very important news release. And of course, today after hours, Tesla reported earnings. So they beat earnings a bit, by not that much, but a lot of the forward guidance on Tesla is very, very promising. So we can see that Tesla, they're really lacking on a few different aspects, but basically the Cybertruck is on track to begin production later this year. And basically they're hyping that up for the following quarters. Cash flow is down almost 50%. So they don't have as much free cash, but of course, that's not a huge issue for them. And especially if Elon basically makes it seem like it's not a big deal, investors and everyone won't really care as much. And also Tesla recognized $324 million of full self-driving revenue this quarter. That's a significant number. The company has said that the software will be a growing part of revenue going forward. So roughly 400,000 customers in the US and Canada have bought full self-driving. So it costs $12,000 per customer. And basically that is just pure profit that Tesla can have. And they're basically saying that, moving forward, it's going to be very important. So a lot of this, the fact that it hasn't completely dropped is Tesla did beat earnings a bit, but their cash flow is down, their revenue is a bit down. And, but they have good guidance, essentially. That's basically what it is. We can see that IBM also reported earnings. They're set to eliminate 3,900 jobs. Their revenue beat a bit. Current workforce is 260,000. Fourth quarter revenue was 7.29 billion. Estimate was 6.8. Free cash flow was 10.5 compared to the estimate of 9.48. And basically, they didn't do terribly. They did well or on par with estimates, but also IBM missed out on a lot of free cash flow as well. They are down on free cash flow, similar to Tesla. So first of all, yesterday's video, I was saying that everything looked bullish, right? We were holding on to swing puts. We were holding on to Google puts. We're still holding on to Mara puts. Google puts ended up hitting 50%, and Mara puts, whatever, that's irrelevant. They ended up doing well also. But I thought we were going to rip up, and our puts were basically not going to do well. But essentially, Microsoft faked out the market. And when Microsoft was showing a lot of strength, everything looked pretty good, right? But then I was making the video before Microsoft made its about face. So basically, that's essentially the reason why we opened up very, very low today. And then we ended up closing flat. So the worst part about this move is all of the upside momentum that we would have had we not opened low. If we had opened flat, all of this move would have caused the market to basically break above. But because we opened lower and then we bounced from here, it basically, a lot of the buyers, it's going to be interesting now moving forward what happens. But essentially, when we could take a fib, right, from the swing lows to the recent swing highs, you can see that on the SPY, we bounced exactly off the 38.2% fib, bounced, and now we're closed, above the 22.6. Moving forward, I think the easiest trade is essentially the easiest trade now is just waiting for this high to break and becoming bullish above this high. That is my intuition. If we get a break above that, then it would be much easier to be bullish. But until then, you know, obviously you don't want to fight the trend. The trend is still up, and it's clearly still in an uptrend. But this is a very, very major level of resistance. So basically anything below here, we can be short. But then as soon as we break above, it makes sense to be long. And that is really that for the SPY. We have to take a look at the dollar, the VIX, and the bonds as well. So if you're taking a look at the bonds, you can see that the bonds, similar to what the SPY did, they also had, you know, the bonds had a wick to the upside. And we know that there is a bit of a correlation between the bonds and the market. If the bonds are doing well, then the stock market should also be doing well. Man, the first arrow looked beautiful, and then the second one messed up. But basically, immediately what I'm looking at is the MACD on the bonds are still oversold. When this is oversold like this, while the bonds are moving up, that is generally a very bullish sign. Okay, it means that once the MACD starts to move above as well, then this upside momentum is also going to continue up. Currently, the bonds look bullish, right? If we get a solid break above 132, and especially above this high here, if we get a close above this high, that is going to be very, very bullish on the bonds. And then once we get a close above 133, 132, that I think is when the strength of the bonds is going to also permeate into the overall market, because the bonds and the dollar, or the bonds and the stock market don't move perfectly in unison day to day. But when you see the bonds showing a lot of strength, especially intraday, it usually does permeate into the market. But on larger time frames, on a daily time frame, for example, if we get a close above this high, then the stock market should be bullish, if it's not already bullish by that point. For the VIX, we also know that the VIX has an inverse relationship to the market. So if the VIX is falling, we know that the market is rising. Currently, we can see that the VIX on the MACD is overbought. And if we get a cross below on the blue line below here, then that is generally bearish for the VIX. And if it's bearish for the VIX, then it's bullish for the stock market. And currently, this is still going on. There's still bearishness on the VIX. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to say that the VIX looks bullish here, but the VIX clearly looks bearish still, right? So if the VIX is bearish, then the stock market should be bullish. There's that on the VIX. So now the dollar, when we're taking a look at the dollar is starting to look a little terrible. So we know that it has an inverse relationship on the market as well. So if the dollar is falling, we know that the stock market is doing well. And I was saying that the dollar was like the only thing that looked a bit bullish because we got a bullish MACD crossover, right? The fact that the MACD is moving up here, it's been 2 days, and the dollar continues to break and close, right? It's tough to look at the dollar right now. It is very, very tough to look at the dollar right now and claim that this looks like a bullish setup. Yes, we might end up bouncing off of these lows here, but it looks like it's very, very close to like really, really showing weakness. So the only issue with this is that when things do look very, 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 very weak, it usually doesn't play out. But currently, just looking at the chart, the dollar looks very, very weak. The MACD is still crossing above here, but the price of the dollar is continuing to fall, and it's literally just like on the brink of disaster, in my opinion. You could see that the lower Bollinger Band is also falling sharply, and if the dollar falls, then the stock market should be rising. And pragmatically, that's what could end up happening. I'd be very surprised if we do get some sort of a bounce, but yeah, the only thing is if we get like a bounce off of like this pattern here, we get like a retest of these lows and then bounce from here. But the dollar still definitely looks weak. And of course, today tech stocks were lagging. That's why the IWM did much better than the NASDAQ, and the IWM helped pull the SPY up. So once again, you know, it's much easier to be bullish on the NASDAQ above this high. Otherwise, it makes sense to lean bearish, but it's tough. We see clearly the dollar is showing weakness. We see the VIX clearly has more room to the downside, and we see that the bonds are showing strength. There's essentially, we just have to trade the levels, right? Once again, the safest trade, in my opinion, would be to become bullish after these highs break. And when taking a look at the IWM, you can see the IWM pushed very, very hard, and it's trying to break above these highs here. You can see that even the earnings for the IWM relatively did better, right? And once again, just looking for a break of these highs. But that would be the easiest trade in my opinion. But otherwise, lean short until we break above that. But it's tough. I mean, it's tough. I can't trade for you. I can't tell you exactly which contracts and everything to hold. The easiest thing that we did was literally we just went short Google. Because literally we just went short Google, and that worked out really, really well. The contracts were up 50%. As far as the other equities and the indices and stuff, I mean, anything can really happen. But once again, anything below this, we have to wait to see if the weakness in the dollar will continue and if the VIX ends up falling much lower. But until then, if you're not bullish already, right, I would rather wait for a break above these highs to become bullish. I hope I helped with this video. Oh yeah, we're also holding on to Mara puts long term as well. But yeah, I hope we get more downside on Google, to be honest. I want those to hit 100%. And yeah, we had sort of a flat, nothing sort of day. We're just waiting for more direction now. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.